Welcome to Toy Hill Studio. My name is Kendall Kessler. Decided to do another abstract, but this time I have a pattern involved. So it's not going to be completely non-objective or abstract or non-figurative because the pattern might remind you some things. Also, because of the way I've done it, where I've repeated the pattern through here, it might create a very interesting perspective. So I'm just going to use a small brush and then just pretty much arbitrary color and see what happens. So I always say these are all very experimental. Right now I'm getting close to the end of an oil painting, which has taken a long time, and I'm real pleased with how it's turned out. As I've said before, I really think good art is a balance between control and accident, and it took a real nosedive for a while. They tend to do that. And then it started to really come together, and I'm real pleased. So then you get to the stage where, oh, wait a minute, it's not perfect. So do I go back into it? There's little areas that might be improved on, or I could even do a whole nother layer kind of based on what I've already done. And that's really the hardest part of a painting. I think safe to say a lot of artists, if not all artists, will say that's when it really gets tough. When do you finish it? When is it really what you want? Or is it as close as you're going to get and you should go on to the next one? It's quite a process. Boy, I have a feeling it's going to go very slowly. So maybe I'll just be doing part of it on the YouTube and then doing the rest of it later, but we'll see. I was going to separate out the warm and the cool colors, but no, I think I will just stick with an arbitrary approach and see what happens. But this is going to be a lot of work. Probably going to lose the pattern a little bit. I can always just go back and reaffirm it, so that's no big deal. But the way I'm doing this, I can see it's going to take quite a while. But anyway, so much to do all the time, as I'm always saying. Never at a loss for work. And love what I do, but I have to really spend a lot of time promoting it. I certainly hope that they will be around when I'm gone. And that's hard. It takes a tremendous amount of time. And just kind of keep varying the color. As usual, this isn't really what I planned. I always just approach these as, oh, just gonna really kind of play around with it. I'm sticking pretty much with the cool colors, even though there are some warm, but I'm sticking pretty much with cool colors, and I'm using the paint in a pretty thick way. I'm not letting it bleed. I'm not letting it move around because I wanted to keep the pattern. I was thinking that I might do that, just let it really move around, but it's not what I'm doing. And so far I really think I should have done that, because I've also said many times I like my work to be really complicated, but you can't see much at this point, but you can see I'm already going back into those areas so that they're not just solid areas, that they have a lot of complexity to them. Yeah, I like that a lot better. A little even smaller brush strokes so that I'm getting more going on. I'm real pleased that I have decided something else to do in my promo. Yeah, that's getting a lot more interesting to me. As I'm going to do more with my Wix site. I got my own site, even though I'm on a lot of different sites. I got my own site quite a while ago, and I really haven't done much with it. And I'm thinking about really hooking up all those things where I can sell directly from the website. I mean, people can contact me there and certainly buy stuff. But I think I want to make it so that it's even more direct and get more attention for that site. I have a great site where prints can be sold, can be bought, purchased, and tongue-tied today, And it works real well because all I have to do is just upload it and they sell it, and that works out real nice. But I want to have something more direct with my originals. I have an Etsy shop, buy them there, and I do sell them there. But I want to have something that is more direct with just me and my artwork. I have a newsletter there that I send out, and I also send out a newsletter from the site that does the prints. And all these things, of course, really keep me busy. And doing YouTubes, which really takes up a lot of time. Yeah, and that makes it a whole lot more interesting to me. You know, we all like different things. But I didn't want to fill in each band and make it just real solid. I wanted to get a lot of different things going on in each section. So, and it's only been 6 minutes, so now we're starting to move along here. I was hoping that I'm really going to, as I said, get a really interesting perspective once I get to those areas down here. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I'm not going to rush it. Oh yeah, I really like these teal type of blues, these real blue greens. Really get into that. I think I could use that in some other places too. Yeah, get some accents going there. Yeah, it's more me. Filling in bands is not me. Got to get a lot of complexity going in all these different areas. So now I'm starting to really like it. Kind of at a loss for words today. Usually I have a lot to talk about. I'm just kind of doing the artwork this time. Not really. Don't have a lot to say. This kind of abstract, though, I did want to talk about that, is that because it has a definite pattern, I think a lot of people, even though they see it as abstract, they see it as design, which of course has been around forever in all art, but really got going with the Bauhaus, the German school of design. That was closed down by Hitler, where they really started to get into complicated systems of design in everything, in furniture, in commercial art, and everything. And we've really gotten used to that. I'm sure the average person doesn't realize that so many things that you see, certain types of furniture, certain types of designs, really originated in the Bauhaus. And of course, as an art student, I learned all about that. And of course, Hitler didn't like it. Didn't like that decadent art. I don't understand how anybody can look at designs and say that's decadent. If you really study art and really look at it, and you look at paintings that were done of religious subject matter, you will see design. Because, of course, there aren't really any portraits of Jesus. It's all made up by artists. And all these scenes, they weren't there. People were not making paintings of the things that he did. So in these paintings, the artist is free to really incorporate design, incorporate patterns. And I'm sure the average person doesn't see that. When I taught at the university, I made a big deal about explaining that to people. I wonder if anybody really knew what I was talking about. I hope they did, because it was important to me to try to get people to understand that all art is design. It doesn't matter whether it looks just like something, or sort of looks like something, or is just the colors and shapes together. It's all a matter of the artist deciding, of putting it together in a way that they think is well organized and really gets your attention. Okay, I'm starting to like this now. It's amazing how lots of times when I start these like that, after a while, start to get into it. Yeah, I don't think that perspective is really going to happen. I could be wrong. I'm getting to that part now. But it would be a color thing. I could make it happen with the warm and cool color contrast, but I'm having more fun just kind of being arbitrary and just reacting to the colors, the different effects I'm getting. So I don't think it's going to happen, which is okay. really have a thing about pink. As I said before, I don't know why. Who knows? There are all kinds of color studies, I've mentioned that before, that you can find out all things about yourself by what colors you like. And it's very fascinating to me. It's like handwriting. Handwriting is utterly fascinating to me. It always has been. I thought, why? We're all taught to write a certain way, and nobody does that. Nobody. Just the teachers. And I always thought that was so fascinating. Then as an artist, I started to realize, well, that's because people are expressing themselves. They are expressing who they are in those lines. And of course, someone that studies that, graphology, can tell you all about yourself by how you use a line. And it's the one way that everyone is an artist, a visual artist, someone who communicates themselves in a visual form. So I think it's going to be really sad if they stop teaching that to children. I really do. Yeah, I know we've got computers and maybe we don't need it, but I just think it would be very, like that. Really into blue going into red, bluish green. That always turns out really nice. But I really hope they don't, because that is an expression, and it's just amazing to me. When I looked at my grandmother's handwriting, my father's handwriting, big jagged peaks, and my mother, little tiny, delicate handwriting. They say if you write real small, there's a number of reasons of why you do that. One is that you're shy, and my mother was shy. Another is that you have a scientific inclination. So all these things are just really interesting to me. Maybe not to everybody, but to a visual person they are. And my father, God, just jagged peaks. Great big jagged peaks. Usually that's indicative of a very forceful personality. He was. And of, and I forget, it's been a long time since I looked at this stuff. Oh yeah, also it tends to be a scientific person because a rounded thing tends to be more of a cultural thing. I used to always love to see in handwriting big loopy G's and Y's, because people that do that are usually people that like art. I don't know why. I guess making those real pretty loopy things is an expression of their interest in art. So I always like to see that in people's handwriting. Okay, now, well, this is interesting. It did not create that perspective at all, but that's okay. I could have made it happen, but didn't want to. Let's see, been 12 minutes. Having a little bit more success with my reds. Tend to have trouble with that with this acrylic paint. Used to oil paint. Having a little more success in getting more vibrancy in that color. Okay. Yeah. Alright, I think I'll go back into it a little more with some, make it a little more complex. No matter what I do, I like to have lots of complexity, a lot to look at. And I think there could be more blue. At this point, it's hard to get the blue in this paint to work well. I'm sure anybody watching thinks, oh yeah, I understand that. Well, if you're a painter, you know what I was talking about. Talking about getting it so the colors really react to each other and make a vibrant effect and not just sit there, which is what I really like. And as I've said before, if there's one thing I really have noticed in my lifetime, is that artists tend to be very opinionated. And that has been my experience. So, what you're hearing me say, you may not hear someone else say. Oh yeah, wanted to get more of that pink going. Don't want to go too much longer. Yeah, I wanted to get more going with that. And playing off little dots. That always, to me, is really nice in an abstract work. Just little dots here and there. And I probably will go back into it and maybe reestablish the lines a little better, because I definitely went out and lost them. But I think I'll make them thicker. Don't ask me why. I just think they should be thicker. And I'll probably just use paint for that. I just used a magic marker. But I think I will make them thicker. Now, let's see, it's only been 14 minutes. I might do a little bit of that now. See if I've got a small enough brush to do that. Always like using blue-green. Yeah, I want them to have more to them and not just and not be the same line everywhere. I want it to vary more, be more what we call calligraphic, a line that changes and has a real character to it. It's the calligraphy is calligraphic line, the art of beautiful handwriting. Oh yeah, I think that's going to work real well, but I'm getting kind of far in time. I think what I'll do is probably finish that off camera, but I really think that's adding a lot. Yeah, that to me is making it a lot more interesting. That thin line was just not working well with my complex system of colors. Yeah, and that's too much to do. And you can see I'm doing the same thing. It's not like it's something different. It's just I'm just going to keep on pulling out that line and making it a calligraphic line. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to click on the link in the description. I'll have it right at the top so that you can see the final painting. I might go back and do some other things too. And also there are links to my Etsy shop, to my web shop, Wix shop, and a lot of other sites that have my artwork.